Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another amazing episode of Lead to Greatness, where we believe in helping others reach their greatest potential, and together we can change the world. I am your show host, Cedric Francis, and on today we have Matt Gillis. Go ahead and subscribe, like, and comment. Matt is the CEO of Clean.io, a digital engagement security platform which protects digital experience on the internet. Please help me welcome Matt with tips on leadership development. This is Cedric Francis, and you're listening to Lead to Greatness.
CEO of a company called Clean.io. We are a digital engagement security platform. We protect digital experiences on the internet. I'm a Canadian guy, been in the mobile industry pretty much since day one. So I'm a mobile guy my entire career, since the earliest of days when you used to walk around with a phone that was the size of a brick. So I've been doing that a long time, and obviously been in the mobile industry as it's evolved over the years, from the days when you only made phone calls on your cell phone to now you actually do everything but make phone calls on your cell phone. So that's where I live and breathe, man. I've been doing mobile games and doing mobile advertising, and now I'm in the cybersecurity business. So it's been a wild ride, and lots of times leading, lots of times failing, lots of times falling on my face and getting back up and brushing off, and hopefully, next play. So that's what we do.
Yes, awesome. I remember, this was maybe around 2004, I'm guessing. This was when text messages first came out. I remember me and the guy at work, we were just talking, and they first came out the text message. I said, man, this is stupid. I said, this would never work. I said, this is crazy if I'm supposed to talk on. And here we are now texting.
Well, you remember then there were no keyboards on phones. And so in order to send a text message, to type the letter, C, you had to hit the 2 key 3 times and then wait till the cursor moved. So yeah, like usability has gotten much better over the years. And I was with you. I was like, man, why would you send a text message when you can just pick up the phone and call somebody? And it's almost like, why would you write on someone's Facebook wall when you can actually send them a private message?
Right.
Like what has happened with this planet that we're living on? But that's the way it is, man. Everybody, technology is kind of embedded in us, and it's what we do and how we live and how we breathe. And I got 3 kids, 8, 12, and 14. We've kept the 8-year-old off a phone, but he obviously loves the iPad. My 12 and 14-year-old both have phones, and I can't imagine, their life and how different it would be if they didn't have one. So, because it's been an interesting ride. Like I said, I started working at the phone company back in the day when mobile phones first came out. Yeah. And my job back in that day was standing on a golf course and letting, business women and businessmen make phone calls. And not everybody had a phone then, right? Yeah. So you think about the novelty of and people would pick up the phone and say, hey, guess what? I'm standing on the 4th tee box. And, that was a thing then. When the mobile internet first started coming out, that's when I shifted jobs. So I was at a wireless carrier up in Canada called Bell Mobility, and I made the move into this, advanced services division that was creating the new things that you would do on your phone. And I think everybody kind of shook their head and went like, man, what's this going to be? And will we ever use these things? And the first services that I worked on, you may remember, are things like downloadable ringtones, downloadable games, all that sort of checking your AOL mail or your Yahoo mail from your cell phone. And so that's where I kind of got started and really felt that this could be something big. And a lot of my friends would laugh at me about what I was working on. People think the iPhone was a huge game-changing experience, which it was. And when that took off, I think that brought it mainstream. But we were doing these sort of things, I don't know, I think starting in 2000, 2001. So probably 6-7 years before the iPhone existed. Once the iPhone came, obviously in the earlier days, phones weren't powerful enough, networks weren't fast enough. But as phones became more powerful and networks kind of caught their speed, everything became much easier and faster and better. And BlackBerry, if you remember the BlackBerry, that was kind of the first one that was the messaging device, and people would use BBM. And there wasn't interoperability between these messaging platforms. And then all of a sudden this thing called WhatsApp came out, and that allowed interoperability. And yeah, it's pretty wild. But yeah, no, I've been doing it now 20 years, right? So I've been able to see, I've had a front row seat to the innovation that's happened in mobile over the last 20 years, and it's been crazy. It's super cool.
you transitioned over when all this stuff was starting, and we're going to get into what you're doing now. You're talking back in the early 2000s, and you switched over into an industry because you had the vision. Okay, this is what's coming, and I want to be a part of it. Where do you think you got that ability from?
You're giving me way too much credit, Cedric. Listen, I needed a job. And so when I graduated university, I didn't know what I was going to do. And it just so happened that I had been working at the phone company in Canada. And that was my summer job all through college. And so when it came time to graduate, I got really lucky because one of the women that worked in the unit that I worked in, she went on maternity leave. In Canada, they give you, I think they give you a year now off, which is awesome. But at that point in time, it was 6 months off. So I had a 6 month contract, right place, right time, and kind of stitched that together for a whole career now, right? It was, and from one step to the other. I like to, talk about my experience throughout my career. As if you've ever seen this movie, Sliding Doors, that Gwyneth Paltrow was in. It was a late 90s movie, but it's this movie that tells the perspective of, what happens if she catches the train on the way home and what happens if she misses the train on the way home and how her life is different from every step beyond that. And that's where I feel like every time I've had these, these sliding doors open and had real opportunities and kind of taken that opportunity and, kind of threaded that one to the next one. So super, super fortunate.
At what point did you realize, like, okay, I have an opportunity here. I need to take an advantage of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Like, listen, I was really fortunate in my first gig. I had an amazing mentor. So I think, everything starts like you got to have a mentor. To me, mentors are the ones that are going to actually set you up for your future. And I had this mentor in my early days that, hired me to be an individual contributor. Then he hired me to be a leader of people. And then from that experience, obviously, you get more experience. So you really need someone that actually is going to take you under their wing and teach you and let you fail, let you fall on your face. And that's what that first leader did, that kind of brought me under his wing and gave me the chance and the ability to go out and do what I've done. And then, listen, you kind of stitch them all together and, you kind of, get a bigger team or you get a bigger remit or you've got to go and do bigger deals or like, and everything becomes, I think, bigger than that last one. And that's, really how I've stitched them all together. I just, I've been very blessed with, people giving me great opportunities to go out and do stuff. But I think the reality is that, right, all of the stuff like that, I think you can't really teach, like work ethic, like those sort of things, like you either have it or you don't. And so work my butt off to get to where I am, keep opening doors and, work on your relationships, work on your reputation. And, hopefully that will carry you.
Awesome. Then you said something about a mentor. You had a great mentor in your life. And that may be someone right now that's listening that may not have a mentor at all. They're starting to hear this a lot, like, man, you need a mentor, you need a coach, you need somebody in your life, to ride their shoulder to learn from their mistakes. So did you find this mentor or the mentor found you? How did that happen?
So the mentor actually knew my dad.
Mm,
And my dad was one of those connectors. Like he just knew a ton of people. And when it came time for me to hit the working world, that's my dad just made a connection to this guy. And this guy kind of took me under his wing. He was a single guy who was maybe, in his late 40s, had never had any kids. And I think he looked at me like his adopted son. And so I got so lucky that I found him and that he found me and trusted me to give me those opportunities. And without that, like, he's actually not alive anymore, but he really was the one that set that foundation for me in the earliest days of my career to actually help build my confidence and like help me, really grow and learn. I tell people, like, don't even think about money in the earliest days of your career. Like really try and think about the opportunity and what you can learn and how you can grow. Surrounding yourself with a team of people that you really want to go and work with every day so that it doesn't feel like a job, and go and solve a problem that you really want to work on that you can learn from. If you find those two things, like the right team and the right problem that you're working on, you'll make a ton of money. Like I've never asked for a raise in my career and I've done okay. And I think it's really like the more that you go and surround yourself with that experience, that's the stuff that will actually set you up for your career. And so, I didn't know what, the internet was going to be on your mobile phone, but for me, it was a great opportunity to go out and,
jeez.
grow and learn and like probably fall on my face. And not every deal that we did was a massive success, but I learned how to do the ones that could be. So
I mean, the generation, after the millennials, I began with Gen Y. I mean, now you have this generation that's coming up now. All they're familiar with is the microwave opportunities. They're on social media and they see all the tweaks and they see all this what we consider overnight success that really don't exist, but they think it does. And it's all about money. I mean, someone goes get right out of college and they want to make two, 300, half a million. They want to go they want to fill out for the CEO, the VP job from the gate. They want to come out of college and, they want to be on top. What advice could you give to that individual? Because you said you looked at this and you said, don't make it about the money, learn what you can learn, the right team, the right mentors, and plethora of knowledge that you just shared with us. I want you to just talk to that individual and then we're going to move on.
Listen, I would say slow down, take deep breaths, learn, you know, build your legacy,
Mm.
right? I do find so I've been working now 25 years. I've only worked for 5 companies.
Mm.
Now, if you look at my resume, it looks like I've worked for a lot more. Well, guess what? Like I've been through a lot of mergers and acquisitions and companies that have been acquired. And so you get a new business card when you switch. But yeah, no, I often talk to folks that have worked for me in the past where they get presented opportunities to change jobs or go and take a new role or that sort of thing. And, I think folks are reticent to, to really sit down and stay anywhere for any long period of time. And as far as I'm concerned, when you get somewhere, build that list of the things that you want to accomplish and go out and accomplish them. Like, don't be in a hurry to run out that door to the next, hot, sexy thing that's out there. Take your time. I'm a 48-year-old guy. I've learned a lot, and hopefully I can, instill some knowledge into these folks that I think there's a level of patience and, don't be in a hurry to rush to the top because I don't know, the closer you get to the sun, you usually get burned. So take some time.
Knowledge bomb. And that's awesome. And one thing I was just thinking about something because you was talking about sharing and teaching you at that point of your career where you want to do that, make you decide like, what? I want to mentor this guy or I want to mentor this young lady.
I don't know how much the mentor chooses the mentee or if it's the mentee that chooses the mentor, right? And I think often it's the latter. Like I think often if you're really open to learning, you go out and you seek that knowledge and you seek those folks that can, protect you, but obviously, set you up and guide you in the right direction. So I think it's more often that. Listen, I'll mentor anybody who wants to be mentored. I love it. I love helping people make decisions. Love help guiding them to make, an informed decision. I think being a mentor is one of the greatest things ever. It's very humbling and it's very it's an honor if someone's like calls me and says, "Hey, I need your advice on this," or "Hey, I'd really love to pick your brain." That's cool. I think secure in the fact that if they make themselves replaceable, they have succeeded. Like, you talk about like folks like Jeff Bezos at Amazon, right? Like he has created his own replacement. Like to me, that's like obviously Amazon, hopefully they'll be the same without him. I know it's huge shoes to fill, but like I think he's done a great job as a leader if he can actually if he's, grown and coached and trained his replacements and those folks that are going to carry the torch.
So let's talk about what are you doing right now and how are you depositing into this prevention?
So we're a cybersecurity company. We protect websites on the internet. So whether that's a website that you go to where you scroll and read news content or sports content or whatnot, or you're an e-commerce store that drives revenue through commerce transactions, we give you software to help protect your site, to help protect your end users, to help protect your revenue, your user experience, and all that sort of stuff. You may have been on a website where you're scrolling up and down and all of a sudden it redirects you and says, "Hey, congratulations, Cedric, you won an Amazon gift card," or something shady like that. That's the stuff that we protect from. So, we have about 8 million sites that our code runs on each month. We protect billions and billions and billions of events every day. So yeah, that's what we do. We're trying to make the internet a safer place for users, a better place for businesses to be able to, predictably, own that user experience and make sure that it's flawless.
Why is this important?
Well, it's important because the internet is a big open place where anywhere where there's lots of people and there's money that changes hands, there's usually bad guys. And so, like I told you, I've been in the mobile, industry my whole career and through a variety of different roles. And the role that I was in before I came here, we would help websites make money with ads. That was our whole job. So if you've ever played a game called Words with Friends or something like that, we would serve a lot of ads into that Words with Friends experience. So that's one of the reasons that Words with Friends is free, because it's ad supported. What happened in the ecosystem is because it's open, because it's the internet, bad actors had figured out a way to kind of creep their way into that ecosystem. Like I said, where there's lots of users and when there's money, there's bad guys. And so having left the company that I was with that was helping these websites and these apps make money, I had empathy for this problem that these bad guys had kind of creeped into the ecosystem. And my goal was to actually be part of the solution this time. So yeah, we're trying to make it a safer, better place and hope folks make more money. And we know that like creating content or creating an e-commerce store is an expensive proposition. Getting people to come to your website is expensive. So you're having to often buy ads on Facebook or Instagram or throughout the internet to drive traffic to your website. And so I truly believe that once you've gone through that massive hurdle of creating that website, that storefront, or that website where people consume content, you've driven eyeballs there. God, you better make sure they have a great experience. And so, think of us as almost a little bit of quality control for the user experience. And if you owned a restaurant, you wouldn't want people to come to your restaurant and get food poisoning, would you? Right. So think of us as like, we make sure that when people come, they have delightful experiences and they want to keep coming back.
What type of attacks should we be aware of? What's the signs?
Like sometimes there are no signs, but I would say, like, generally speaking, the user experience for some of these things, we would call them a malicious redirect, where all of a sudden, while you're surfing, you get redirected somewhere. So that website could say, congratulations, you won an Amazon gift card. That website could say, hey, Cedric, we would like you to take a survey because we think you're a Comcast user. Well, they targeted you because they could see through your Wi-Fi that you were a Comcast user.
Wow.
It might also say, hey, Cedric, your phone has 33 viruses. Click here and we'll solve that problem for you. And what these guys do is they actually they disable the back button so you can't get back to where you were. They have a close button, but when you hit the close button, it actually drives you deeper in. So there's like a lot of nefarious behavior that these guys do to try and get you to engage with their product or their service or whatever their bounty is that they're trying to achieve. And so what we do is we just prevent it all from happening. We make sure that every ad that serves on that page is protected, and that the user experience is preserved, and that the revenue of that publisher is preserved as well. Sometimes users just don't know what's happening. And so this is kind of, set it and forget it, and make sure that when people come to your websites that, they're happy and they leave happy, and then they come back and they're still happy. Malvertising. So it's a combination of malicious and advertising. It's interesting, during COVID, the first effects of shutdown in March of 2020, basically bad guys were on the rise and good guys were actually running in hiding. So if you remember, in March of 2020, a whole bunch of things shut down. So the malls were shutting down, the movie theaters were shutting down, travel was shutting down. And guess what? All of those folks that would normally have been advertisers during that time were actually pausing their campaigns. So you didn't see a lot of normal ads that you would have seen. Well, what that did was that created a really big opening for bad guys to come in and basically do more damage. Because if a whole bunch of brand advertisers were no longer advertising, that would mean it's a bit of a supply and demand game. And if demand was down because the good guys were not advertising, that means that bad actors could buy their supply for much cheaper. So we saw a pretty big surge last year in Q1, and it kind of persisted throughout the year. We've seen bad guys run for cover a little bit now that the market has started to recover, and it's been a little bit better. But I think that the interesting thing about bad actors is that they're very unpredictable. Like it's not like it's something that is going to happen on this date or this time. Think of them like they are a performance advertiser or a performance marketer. If they can get return on their investment, they're going to conduct their behavior at scale. And so they're always testing, they're always iterating, they're always trying to figure out if they can get past our software or our competitors' software. So it's a little bit of a cat and mouse game that is almost the one that just perpetually goes on and on and on.
What are some steps that we can do to protect ourselves today from the attacks?
If you own content and people come to your website, you should make sure that you protect the integrity of your website. You should have protection like what we provide. And there's others folks out there. So, obviously I'd love you to choose us, but there's a lot of folks you could choose from to protect yourselves. And if you're an end user, I would just say, listen, just kind of always be on alert. The same way when you get an email in your inbox that says, hey, your Netflix bill is past due, click here and just tell us what your credit card is so that we can actually charge you appropriately. I would just say have your guard up. Like these bad actors, they've gotten more sophisticated in how they conduct their attacks. They've gotten more geographically sophisticated in how they present themselves. So they're very deceptive. So I would just say, looks like a duck and walks like a duck and quacks like a duck. It's a duck. So just, be on the alert. Most folks, they either know they have a problem because they've seen it in their statistics, or their users have told them. Right. And so, you could go on to Twitter and you can probably see people complaining about, bad experiences or malicious ads that they've encountered while they're on a website. Those are the biggest signs, right? Either you're seeing it in your metrics, your KPIs that you live and breathe every day, or your users are telling you. And listen, I think, as I kind of alluded earlier in the podcast, respect your user experience, like make sure that you're delighting your users at every turn. And I guess, if you're an end user, which we all are, go to places that respect that user experience, right? So if you go somewhere and they have a crummy user experience and you experience this sort of behavior, chances are you're not going to go back, and you're going to vote with your eyeballs, and you're going to spend time on sites that you think are, respecting that and delivering a delightful experience. So that's what I would guide folks to do.
You all just service the business, or do you service individuals as well?
Yeah, we're a B2B software company. So we sell to businesses. So, probably some of the biggest names in news that you go to every day to get your news, our code probably runs on those sites. So those are the folks that we would work with. Yeah, we don't sell directly to end users. We don't individually protect end users' entire device. So we're not an antivirus company or someone like that. So we're not like Norton or Symantec. But yeah, we work with B2B, and we make sure that all of their user experiences are flawless.
Awesome. Yeah, that's the reason why I asked, because we do have listeners that's thinking about starting. They have that entrepreneurial heart, but pull the trigger on starting that business yet. So, being practical, what are some practical leadership growth tips, tools, advice that you can share with the Lead to Greatness community to help us reach our greatest potential?
I think it starts with, setting goals. What gets measured gets managed. So you set those, KPIs, those key performance indicators of what you're looking to achieve, and you guide and lead your team and your people and yourself to those goals. And when you actually step back and get to measure your success, you can understand, what worked and why it worked and what didn't work and what you need to change. So, there's a whole bunch of things. Hiring amazing people, right? I mean, you can have there are so many great ideas that never had the right team, never had the right people. It's all about people. Treat people with respect, give them opportunities, challenge them, lead them, let them fail. Failing is awesome. You should celebrate failure,
Yes.
right? I mean, like, celebrate your wins, but celebrate failure. Because again, if you're doing it right, hopefully you'll never make that same mistake twice. So there's a ton that we could go on forever about that sort of stuff.
What is the greatest leadership lesson you ever learned?
The greatest leadership lesson, that's a loaded question. Listen more than you talk.
Mm,
I think one of the interesting things about being a leader is that if you talk more than you listen, a lot of people around you are looking for visual or audible, clues as to, how you react, what emotion you show. So as a leader, if you're listening, probably letting others tell you how they feel, tell you what they think we should do, how you should approach a problem, that sort of thing. Taking that time to listen actually lets the room kind of start to become a bit of a melting pot. And I think, if you're very quick to react, then you're going to like guide the room maybe a little bit too quickly. Everybody needs guidance and needs direction and that sort of thing. But I think sometimes I see folks speak before they listen. And I think that sometimes can be destructive, actually.
if you could go in a time machine and go back and have a conversation with your 18-year-old self, what would you tell
I would tell them to do it exactly like this.
him?
Like, honestly, I live life. I have no regrets.
Uh,
I think there's a lot of fate involved in kind of how we live our lives. And I firmly believe, a lot of it is just being patient. A lot of it is putting yourself in a position to win and learn. And, again, don't be in a rush, like, listen, one of the things that I did, I know so many people that kind of like rushed their way through school and then they rushed their way through college. And then, obviously then you got a job and you're going to sit there for the next 30 or 40 years and make money. I did an extra year of high school because I was having so much fun.
Wow.
I did an extra year of college because I was having so much fun.
That's awesome.
But listen, I have zero regrets on it because I was like, listen, I'm going to work the rest of my life and I'll make money. And, so I just think, don't be in a hurry, YOLO, enjoy yourself. We're here once, and listen, if you've ever had anybody come down with, a terrible medical diagnosis or that sort of thing, and I've had that happen to a few friends recently, kind of makes you appreciate every day for what you've got and smell the roses. Tomorrow's not guaranteed.
That's awesome. Do you have any book recommendations? Like what's the greatest book that really impact your life?
So I will say that I'm not a huge reader, never been a huge reader. I'm dyslexic. I actually couldn't read, and I think until like 5th grade. But one of the books that I have read recently is, I think it's called The Hard Thing About Hard Things. It's by Ben Horowitz. And it's a book just about like the hard things about, the simple things that we often struggle with, especially in running companies and running startups and, how to hire people, how to fire people, how to deal with this or deal with that. And so it's just, to me, I love these common sense, practical books. You're like, God, that's so easy.
Yes.
Like, man, how did I not write this book? I've been through all that. So, that's the sort of stuff that I like to read.
And I know exactly what you mean. I definitely, you reading this, and it's crazy how the things that's so simple, it's the things that give the greatest results. It's really amazing. Man, Matt, I really thank you, man. It's a great interview today. If someone wanted to connect with you and what you're doing, where should they go?
Yeah, so you can send me an email, Matt, M-A-T-T, @clean.io. Connect with me on LinkedIn. You'll find me there. Happy to help you in any way that we can. And, hopefully y'all are leading people to greatness.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. A knowledge bomb to go.
Boom.
On behalf of the Lead to Greatness community, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and adding value to us.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Cedric. Hopefully it was helpful to someone.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much, Matt. This was awesome, and definitely wish you the best in all your endeavors in your future.
Thanks, Cedric. Take care.
And don't forget to subscribe to Lead to Greatness if this is your first time. And this podcast was helpful to you, leave a big thumbs up. And also, I want you to check out our Marriage Coach podcast, the podcast with my wife and I. If you're on iTunes, please rate this podcast and leave a review and help get the word out. Again, thank you, Lead to Greatness Nation, for joining us on today. Looking forward to seeing you again on next week. Till then, remember, if you help others reach their greatest potential, together we can change the world. Peace. We out.